jumping right into it today. Today being Monday is the 339th day of the year. There's only 26 days left in 2022. There's only 26 days left in 2022. We really need to think about that, and we really need to think about that. There's only 22 days left in the year. Where are you at this point in the year? What have you to show at this point in the year? Many times we say that when the year starts, we want to be at a certain level. We want to be at a certain point in the year, or when the year gets to a certain point, we want to have achieved something. So I just want to ask you this question: where are you at? It's really important for us to take stock, to really take stock and see where we're at in the year, because we don't want to be at the same spot where we started. We do not want to be at the same spot where we started. We want to have grown. We want to see changes, good changes, of course. So hopefully you're able to take stock. You're able to see where how far you've come, where you've grown, how you've grown, and be able to just give yourself a pat on the back and say, "Hey, I've done great," because the whole idea is to be to just constantly see the growth and be thankful for that growth, and just continue to grow in that manner. So again, where are you at as the 339th day of the year? Meaning there's only 20 more days to Christmas. There's only 20 more days until Christmas. And so it's really exciting. It's always an exciting time. Christmas is always an exciting time because it is the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ. We get to just really enjoy the freedom that we've won, how much God loves us by just sending his only son to come into this world, for us. And so what are you doing? How are you preparing your heart for Christmas? How are you preparing your heart for the birth of our Lord? Of course, we are in the Advent season. This is the second week of Advent. Advent being a time where we're preparing our hearts, preparing our homes for receiving preparing our homes to receive the baby Jesus. Are you ready? How are you preparing your hearts? How are you preparing your homes to accept him, to receive him, to welcome him into your heart and into your life in general? That's a good question to just meditate on in this 4 weeks of Advent that we're in. Like I said, we're in the second week right now. So where are you at? Prepare your hearts, ready your hearts for the coming of the Lord, for the birth of the Lord. The first week of Advent, of course, signified the week of hope. And it's just really important for us to remember how important hope is. Having hope is just really, it shows us that there's something we're hoping for, something out there. There's just that the blessings of God, the just really God's love, just really hoping and expecting. We're waiting with expectations. We're hopeful of what God has for us, the blessings that he has for us. And so it's really important for us to recognize that and to always remember that. Good evening again. If you're just joining in, this is Faith Matters with me, Mnena. If you're just coming on, I want to say thank you. Take the time to like, share the broadcast if you're able to. Welcome into the show. Faith Matters is a platform where we reflect, talk about our daily Christian walk, how we're being Christ's hands and feet, shining his light brightly for others to see. Good evening, Sister Salma. Good evening, Brother Daniel, Sister Juliet. Good evening, Sister Anne Marie. Yes, good evening. Thank you all for coming on tonight. And it's always so important for us to recognize that we need to prepare our hearts. We need to prepare our hearts daily. It should be a daily thing. This preparation shouldn't just be something that we're waiting to do at certain times. This is a daily, should be like a constant thing that we're doing, because you don't know when the Lord will come. Yes, we know Christmas is coming, but you don't know when he would actually come. He could call you home tomorrow. Are you ready tomorrow? Are you ready to go? He could call you tonight. Are you ready? Good evening, Brother Philip. Thank you for coming on. And so This week, of course, symbolizes love. This week, the second week of Advent, is all about love. So, what is love? How are we being Christ's hands and feet? I talk about this all the time, just being Christ's hands and feet, shining his light brightly for others to see. How are you showing love to the other? Many times we talk about love. I think we are so, as Christians, and I'm guilty of this too, we're just so into talking about love and we're not really showing love. Many times we say, oh, we care about this person, or we care about that, or we're doing this, we have this person in mind, and we're just doing a lot of talking, but we're not really showing it. We're not walking the walk. We're only talking. And I think it's really important for us to recognize this, in everything that we do, that we need to show love. We need to show love. We need to be caring. We need to take the time to just really see the other. Sometimes it's not. I think we do that unconsciously sometimes because we're just so, caught up in the whole, hey, yeah, I love this person. I'm praying for this person. I'm thinking about this person. But if I love you, or if I say that I love you, and I'm thinking about you and I'm praying about you, but I don't show it, then what's the point? Then I don't really, then it really doesn't matter. You can pray from now until tomorrow for that person, but if you don't open your mouth to check in with that person, then it really doesn't even count when you see that person to say, hey, how are you? And just little things like that. And like I said, it's something that we all as Christians just really need to work on. I'm talking to myself as well. It's something that we all definitely need to work on. And so that's just what this platform is about. Just the reflections of our Christian walk, of our faith walk. Didn't skip out the holidays today. I was just trying to give a backdrop to tonight. The holidays for this week, of course, are today being Monday, Blue Jeans Day. So it's time to just deck out in your blue jeans. Funny enough, I'm always in jeans, but today is the one day that I didn't put jeans on. So it's Blue Jeans Day. It's Communicate with Your Kids Day. I think this is really important. It's important for us to just really be open and communicative with our kids, in all that they do, because we need to know what's going on with them, and we need to create that environment that makes them comfortable to come to us and to speak to us and to talk to us when something's going on with them. So communicate with your kids. I think this should be an everyday thing. We really need to work. Push that. Volunteer day. I love to volunteer a lot, and so it's important for us to recognize the blessings that come from volunteering. So recognizing volunteering today. Commute with your baby day for those parents out there who have little ones. Today is a day where you get to commute with your child, with the baby. It's also World Soil Day. Tomorrow is Miners Day. It's Mittens Day as well. Microwave Oven Day falls tomorrow as well, where we celebrate the microwave oven. I think it's just real. Yeah, microwave is really helpful nowadays. So I'm thankful for that piece of, I don't know what to call it, but it just makes life a little easier. But I think sometimes we tend to forget and we get lazy, because we've got microwaves, and we tend not to really do other stuff. But so it is microwave day, so we're still gonna celebrate that. It's Put on Your Own Shoes Day. Not sure, that's a weird one. Not sure how that came about. They couldn't even explain how that came about. It's Civil Aviation Day. It's Letter Writing Day. It's Candy Day on Wednesday. So for those of you who love cotton candy, knock yourselves out on Wednesday. It's Special Kids Day on Wednesday as well. Thursday is Brownie Day. Thursday is Brownie Day. Yes, microwave is bad for you. That's for sure. That's for sure. Brownie Day on Thursday. Christmas Tree Day. Pretend to be a time traveler as well on Thursday. So if you love to pretend, you better pretend to be a time traveler. Let's go back in time, Anne Marie. Let's go back in time. Take it, take it in the ear day. Not sure what that means because they couldn't even explain it. But of course, we're talking about weird holidays. Um, Christmas card day on Friday. So Friday is the day where you start to mail out all those Christmas cards. Those of you who still do those, like if you're into just really mailing out those cards, Friday's the day to start doing that. It's International Medicine Day, Veterinary Medicine Day on Friday as well. It's International Anti Corruption Day as well on Friday. And so those are just the holidays. I don't have a lot for this week, but for sure, I'm not sure which one I'm going to run with for sure, but I think without a doubt, communicate with your kids' day. This should be an everyday holiday, not just a one day thing. Not just a one day thing. So I've had quite a bit happen to me in the past week. It's been an eventful um, past week. If I can use that word. But God has been faithful. God's been so amazing in just everything that He's been doing in my life. Through it all, he has remained faithful. Through it all, I'm able to just really hold my head high and still be sane, and that's only because of God's grace. And I'm going to be reflecting tonight on just what you do or what to do when you're going through stuff, when things happen to you, when life throws things your way. I was sharing this evening that life happens. Like there's never a dull moment in life. Just in daily living, there's stresses here and there. There's challenges, and of course there are opportunities as well. But in the midst of all those, how are you able to take that? How are you able to just dig deep in the midst of the stresses and the trials that come your way, to dig deep and find a smile, to just pull on and just plaster on your face a genuine smile, actually. And I think I got an answer to that, and that answer just simply was just having Christ and knowing and trusting that God is in control and has everything. And I'm speaking, of course, stemming from the passing of my dad this week. It's just really been an emotionally overwhelming couple of days, and I've just really reflected in the past, since I heard about it, really reflected on my journey, on my faith walk, and just where I'm at, and lessons that can be learned in the midst of my grief, and just this journey in particular. And it's incredible to just see how great God is, and how good it is to be plugged into God, to be connected to God, and be plugged into something that's just way bigger, to be plugged into that source, to be anchored on Him. Because I found myself even in the midst of my pain, in the midst of my grief, being just cheerful and joyful, not because I don't miss him, not because I'm not hurting, but because I know where he is, and because I know that God is faithful, and because I've seen him work so many times, and I've seen him pull me out and pull me through so many things, that I haven't doubted that he will definitely see me through this, in this time. And what I've learned is to just really shut the enemy out in the midst of the pain, in the midst of the tears, because of course I'm human. The human aspect will always come there when you're feeling down, and tearing up and wanting to just be get drop into that space where you don't feel, as though you want to go on. Good evening, Sister Deidre. You get to that point, and I found myself just really holding on to God, and being like, and being just really able to just say, devil, not right, the fast. And it was just, and then this happened. And I think that God was preparing me for that, for knowing that this was going to happen, because he's all knowing. I had no idea, but the fact that I was already in that mode of prayer, in that mode of, this is it. I was able to just really hold on to him, and I'm still holding on to him and still pulling, to on his strength, because it's the only reason why I'm able to have a smile on my face right now, only by the grace of God. And so, just to be an encouragement to someone tonight, I guess maybe tonight I'm just here to just encourage you some more, because the whole idea of the radio station here and of my show is just really encouraging us. But I guess today, just really encouraging those who are at a place where their hearts are hurting. Your heart's hurting because you've lost a loved one. You don't know how to go on. You can't seem to find joy. You're looking for answers. You may not find the answers you're looking for. It does hurt. It sucks that your loved one is gone. But there's hope. There's always hope. There's hope. There's hope. Then the Bible tells us not to mourn like unbelievers, but to know that we're going to see our loved ones again. Especially if they're saved, you're definitely going to, where they are. And so, just encouraging someone out there tonight who is, just really down and feeling, the pain of that, of just losing someone. Just remember, here's what's been helping me carry on. Here's what, this past couple of days, here's what's been helping me. I've been able to just really sit back, reflect on my dad's life, the impact that he had in other, the impact that he made in the lives of people, and just to see the love that is being poured out, and the appreciation that it has been pouring out since his passing. That has just been it's been so encouraging. It's been challenging as well. And it just really goes to show that we need to live our lives in a way, in a manner where when we're no longer here, when we're gone, what will be said about us, whatever is going to be said about us, should be something that people are going to be proud of. People are going to look at you and look at the legacy you've left behind, and be so proud of. People are going to say, he touched me, or she touched me in this way. So those of us who are left behind, my challenge, which my dad has left me, is just to live that life, to work towards leaving that legacy. When I'm gone, I will also have people who are. I mean, the outpouring of love has just been overwhelming, and it's still coming. It's still coming. I still can't get over the stories and the testimonies, and people who've been reaching out and saying how, and talking about how the impact that he made, and how he touched people, and just seeing that from a daughter's perspective is just incredible. And it goes to show that how we live our lives today really matters. People are watching. We really need to create a positive impact, to make a positive impact. We need to leave our mark on this world, in this land, in this world, that when we're gone, um, the seeds that we've sown, like the mark that we've left behind, will still be felt even after we're gone. And so, if you're in that place right now, where you can't really find joy, or you can't let go, you're grappling with your emotions, you're trying to find answers. I want to just encourage you to look at the life that your loved one has left. What legacy have they left behind? What would they want? Will they want you to continue, wallowing in that grief? Will they want you to keep crying? Will they want you to keep just being unhappy, in that, continuously? They're not going to want that. It is difficult. It's not easy. It's really not easy. Good evening, Sister Marcia. It's not easy to put a smile on your face in that moment. By no means at all. Am I saying that? But I think really thinking about what they would want or how they would want you to carry on, what they would want for you, really helps in your healing, in your grieving. When you're able to just think about that, okay, so now in my situation, I'm like, okay, what does daddy want for me? Daddy's not going to want me to constantly just be crying my eyes out till I can't move. He doesn't want that. Daddy doesn't want me to just to give up and just say, okay, and to fall into that depression. He doesn't want that for me. He wants me to live. He's run his race. Now it's, I'm the one who's still here, and I need to continue that race that I'm on, because I'm also on this journey. I'm also running my race, but I have to run the race in a way where that will make him proud of me, knowing that the foundation, or the example that he has set, is something that we, his children, are following, and we're just running that race, and trying to do our very best to. And we can't feel his shoes. I mean, because he left like humongous shoes, like too big for us to feel. But what we can at least try to do, is just, in some ways, try to live a life that will make him proud. Try to live a life that will make others, that will touch others, that will create a positive impact in others. So if you're out there tonight and you're grieving the loss of a loved one, just ask yourself this question: what would that person, what would that loved one want for me in this moment? And I think another thing that comes to mind is, and I shared this with a sister yesterday. Many times in our grief, we tend to, if we're not careful, we're going to let our grief overwhelm us to the point where we become complacent in our faith. We're going to let our grief overwhelm us where we can't, we give up. We don't want to fight anymore. We're like, okay, this is it. I can't. I'm just, yeah, then we just boom. We can't do that. We have to remember that even in the midst of the tears, even in the midst of the pain, in the midst of you crying out and not having the strength to go on, you can still have, you can still call on Jesus. You can still call on God. Look to God for strength. All you have to do is offer up those tears that you're crying. Offer them up to God. Say, God, I have no words for you right now, but I'm offering you my tears. Again, just this is just my personal reflection. It's my I'm just sharing with someone out there who might be going through the similar situation. This has been helping me. Just offering up the tears, when, because sometimes you don't have the words. There's just really no words. You kneel down there and you can't find any words to pray, but you're able to say, or I'm able to say, God, I've got no words for you right now. I feel nothing, but may these tears that I cry right now just be that prayer to you, that's ascending to you. And you offer up those tears. You offer up the broken heart that you have. And trust me, when you have that will, that zeal, that willingness, you have that zest inside of you to fight, to keep fighting. God sees that. You may not physically feel like it. You may not physically have that strength on the inside of you to go on, but your spirit man in that moment, really would comfort for you. And that's why it's really important for us to constantly um, be we have to be connected to God. We have to be connected to God, not to neglect prayer. We have to build our spirit. We have to be in tune with the spirit, because when our bodies fail, when our spirit, when our flesh is not strong enough, when we don't have that strength, we don't know what to do, we have got no words. The spirit comes in at that moment, and says, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna make it, we're gonna do it. You can't give up. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And so you have to, you know resolve on the inside of you. You have to be that person to say to yourself that I'm going to go on. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to just sit down. I'm not going to just cry myself out. I'm not going to I'm not going to just let the enemy win in this situation, because that's what the enemy wants. What the enemy wants to do is to come at you in your moment of grief, in that time where you are just really sad, really down and out. He wants to strike in that moment because he knows you're vulnerable, or he feels you're vulnerable in that moment. And he's just coming at you at that moment with so many words, with different things. Like he said, like the shoulda, woulda, couldas will be coming at that time, depending on whatever circumstances surrounding your loved one's passing. It could be, maybe if I had called more, or if I had done this differently, then this wouldn't have happened. If I had done this, I had a gentleman call me this morning, because I lead a bereavement ministry, and he was saying to me that his mother just passed. And he was feeling guilty. He felt as though she died from COVID, and he felt as though it was his fault that she got sick, because he thought, he had COVID before, and he was his primary. I mean, he was out of the siblings, he was the one that was more with her, that visited her more, and was taking care of her more than the others, so he had more contact with her. So he says, I think she got it from me. He wasn't sure where she got it from anyways, but he just felt because he had it, that then she got it, and it's because of him that she died. And I said to him, I said, that's a lie. That's a lie from hell. That's the enemy trying to get in your head and trying to make you feel that way, or try to tell you those lies. Because I believe that we've all come into this world with a timestamp. We all came in here with a time that we came in here. God knew when we came in. He knew this is a day you were born. This is a day that you're gonna die. So whatever happens, like the time that God has placed for you, has ordained for you to leave, that's when you're going to leave. And I was telling him, I said, there's so many people who've survived COVID, so it's not that's not it's not your fault. It's not your fault. That's a lie from the enemy. And those are just little ways that the enemy will try to, just really get at us, to take us on a guilt trip. I should have been there. Maybe if I should have called, or they had called me and I didn't answer. Maybe if I had answered, if I'd spoken to them in that moment, they probably would have done what they did, or maybe I would have stopped something. So it's just things like that, and he tries to whisper those into our ears, especially when we're in that moment where we're really hurting, where we're grieving, when we're crying our eyes out, to say, oh, this is it. I'm the one that caused this. I'm the one that did this. But if you're out there and you're feeling that way, I want you to know that that's a lie from the pit of hell. That's not what God is about. That's not what God has for you. God loves you. You're not, there's nothing that you could have done differently. If the person's time is up, it's up. So there's nothing you could have done. You're going there would not have stopped it. You're not going there would not have changed any situation. You being sick and being around them would not have changed whatever the outcome would have been. So it's important for us to always remember that. Just keep the faith in the midst of your trials. Try to find dig deep for those positive things, those blessings. There's blessings every day. The fact that you're alive in itself is a blessing. In the midst of your grief, when you can't think of anything to be thankful for, you can just dig deep. Just dig deep. There's always something. You're going to find something. And I say all the time that the fact that you're breathing itself is a blessing. I know sometimes in your grief, you're like, I shouldn't even be breathing right now, so I don't think that's a blessing. I know many times in cases like that, you don't even want to be breathing in that moment, because you're like, okay, God, take me instead, or why am I still here? Those are questions that come. Those are questions that we're asking, but those are not quite, those are questions that the devil puts in our heads, in our minds, to make us, to mess with us, to start asking those questions. So don't ever feel that way. Don't ever ask, why not me? Why am I still here? Why am I still living? Don't be that person. I'm encouraging you tonight to show up in the midst of your grief. Show up. Continue to show up. continue to stand firm. Continue to stand firm. Stand on your post. God has mounted you, has placed you at a particular post, and you need to stand there. You need to stand your ground. You need to stay in position, regardless of what you're going through, regardless of how you feel, regardless of the tears, the many tears that you're crying, however hard your heart's breaking, however badly it's hurting. You need to still stand your ground. You need to still show up. You need to still stay in position. You need to still stay in position. So I don't know who needs to hear that tonight. Somebody who's probably hurting right now. Maybe you can get a few words from that, because that's how I'm dealing with my grief in this moment. Just really thanking God for for a life that was well lived, and not just, I mean, it was a life that impacted so many. So that in itself, I would say, is a blessing. The fact that I can say, for me, the fact that I can say that my dad touched so many lives, in itself is a blessing, and I'm so thankful for that. And I'm so thankful that I'm his seed, and I'm so thankful that God has has given me the opportunity, that God's still keeping me here. I'm thankful for this day that he's given me to, in some ways, just work and walk towards achieving, or just feeling, just trying to feel in those shoes just a tad bit. Like I said, they're super big, humongous shoes that can't be filled, but in some ways I can try in my little teeny tiny way to walk towards achieving that. So that's a word for someone out there. Hopefully you can take it and run with it, and just be encouraged. Don't let your grief overwhelm you to the point where you can't worship. Don't let your grief overwhelm you, or to the point where you become complacent, where you become bleh. You're just like, you're just there. There's no you're not, you forget who you are, because again, that's another thing that he wants you to do. He wants you to forget who you are. The enemy wants you to forget who you are, and forgetting who you are just simply means, especially in time of grief, means that you doubt that God is God. You doubt that God knows what he's doing. You're doubting that, you're just doubting God. You're thinking you know better than God, because if it were you, you would have still kept this person alive. If it were you, somebody else should have gone in place of that person. And so that's just a lie. That's a lie from the enemy. And so we have to be really careful in our grief. It's hard, like I said. It's not easy. It's easier said than done, but it's not impossible to do. With the grace of God, it's possible. With the grace of God, you're able to dig in, and find that smile, find that joy, find that peace, find that comfort, and really carry on. Talking about smiling, there's just so many stresses that we go through in life, and it's important for us to just really remember that, whatever it is, that whatever challenges we're facing in our daily lives, it's important for us to really make that effort to smile. And sometimes the smile just really helps somebody else. I had a situation this afternoon. I was at the hospital with someone, and the nurse was very, I don't want to say, I don't want to use the word nasty, but she was just really not, she wasn't really nice. And it just got me thinking, about how sometimes we, because of, I don't blame her. She's probably just stressed out, having a long day, a long challenging day. So as a result of that, she acted or reacted the way she did. But it got me thinking. Many times we tend to let our emotions, or let our situations, or things that we're going through, just really direct or affect and direct how we react and how we interact with other people. She here she was, saying something, not in a very nice way, not, and you're in a profession that should be loving and caring, but the words that are coming out of your mouth are really not displaying the care and the love that you actually should be representing. And so I had a reflective moment after the encounter that I had with her, and it just reminded me to just really be very uh, conscious of my surroundings, and be careful not to let the stresses of work, the stresses of just the stresses of daily living, just get to me to the point where I'm nasty. Just gonna use that word. I'm nasty to other people. I say all the time that kind words can be short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless. I borrowed that from Mother Teresa of Calcutta. Kind words can be short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless. Sometimes it just takes that tiny kind word. You just need to say something nice to someone. Just smile. You may not even say anything, but that smile in itself just goes a long way to make somebody feel appreciated. It makes someone feel good. It makes someone feel comfortable. A smile is inviting. A smile, and this is somebody, again, going back to the situation. This was someone who was already feeling a certain kind of way about what had happened, and then this nurse started to react in that manner, making that person just feel more anxious or more embarrassed about the whole situation. And so it's just really important for us to remember that, let's smile in the midst of your stress, especially if you're in a profession, or if you're in a situation where you're dealing with people, you're interacting with people. Try as much as you can, to just make others comfortable, by the way you speak to them, and just having that smile on your face, that welcoming smile, that smile that puts them at ease. So I just wanted to throw that in there, in addition to my reflections on dealing with grief. And so I just be encouraged, again, be encouraged tonight. If you are going through something, know that you're not alone. There's just so many there's so many people who are dealing with different types of of loss. And so and everybody grieves differently. So it's also important too, as it's also important for us to recognize how the other person grieves. So because I'm grieving differently, or I'm taking it or handling it differently, doesn't mean that the other person should be doing the same thing or should be the same way as I am. And so it's so important for us to recognize that, and to be very sensitive to that, because many times what I found out is, there's some people who are so insensitive when it comes to touching on matters of grief, when they're trying to console someone. And they mean well. Many times they mean well. They would say things like, oh, don't cry, they're in a better place, God knows. They say things like that, and sometimes it's just acknowledging that that person is hurting. That's what really matters. It's not that they don't know, especially for the Christian. It's not that they don't know. They know that the person is in a better place. They know that God is God. They know that God's hand is in everything. God gave permission, or we know all of that. We're not doubting that, but sometimes you have to be careful when you're saying things like that. And sometimes you don't even need words. Somebody just needs a hug. Just let the person cry. Just hug that person in that moment. You don't even need to hug the person. Sometimes just sit there, hold their hand, or just sit by them. And that's a powerful way of ministering. The ministry of silence. Sometimes that's extremely powerful, just to have that person, that silent person by your side, just sitting there and just like, I'm here whenever you need to talk. I'm here. I'm just gonna sit here so you're not sitting by yourself. And so that's just my reflection for tonight. I again just want to say thank you to all those who've called, those who've reached out, those who've sent messages, and I really appreciate the love. I appreciate the prayers, the best wishes in this time. Prayers for my family. I really do appreciate that. My the entire family is grateful. I usually send messages and show them all the loving and kind words and prayers that have been going out to all of us. And so, speaking for myself and of course my siblings, the entire family, we're extremely grateful to everyone for the love. And just the condolence messages. We really do appreciate that. No word, no plans, no word yet on arrangements. But as that comes along, of course, I will be sharing with everyone. Just reflecting, actually, with it's going to be a continuous reflection. In this time for me, and just on life in general. So I want to say thank you all so much for coming on tonight, joining me this evening. I really appreciate all of you, those who are listening on 89.1 FM. Thank you so much for coming on and spending the time with me this evening. Family who are streaming on newseasonfm.com, thank you all so much. Of course, my YouTube and Facebook family in the room, thank you all so much. I thank you, Sister Deidre. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the prayers. Thank you, Sister Eva. Noelle, thank you for coming on. Sister Marcia, thank you so much. Sister Anne Marie, thank you all so much for coming on. Sister Salma, Brother Daniel, thank you all so much. For those who I can't really make out right now, I can't see, I really appreciate you for coming on. Thank you all so much. I pray that you all have a wonderful rest of the week. Don't forget, we're a listener-supported station. It's because of your generosity that we're able to do what we do. Don't forget, there's different ways to help out financially. You can do so through Zelle. For Zelle, it's 954-536-1821. Again, that's 954-536-1821. You can do so through Cash App. For Cash App, it's the $ New Season WC. That's the $ New Season WC. You can go straight to our website, newseasonfm.com. Click on the give/donate button, and it'll take you right to the page where you're able to give. If any of those don't work, none of those work for you, you could simply write us a check, mail it out to 4660 North University Drive, Lauderhill, Florida, 33351. Again, that's 4660 North University Drive, Lauderhill, Florida, 33351. So on that note, I want to say again, thank you all so much for coming on. Join me again next week for another episode of Faith Matters with me, Mnena, as we reflect again on our journey on this faith walk. For now, I would say have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful night, a blessed rest of the week. And remember, past your past, look to the future. Join us tomorrow morning for In His Presence at 6:30, our morning devotion, and Pastor Steve show at 8 o'clock to 10. And then we're going to have Reverend Crescent for Speak the Word at 7:30. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Thanks for coming on. Brother Philip, thank you so much for coming on. Have a good night.
Here to feel it that go. Past pain you feel left that go. We don't want no time for your carry feelings. Hey you, Mr. Man, where you a carry that go. Life is short, man, enjoy the moment. Don't waste time, I fight past opponent. God will return things that was stolen, and there be a make an atonement. Cause it is a waste of time to even a bad mind. We just greet them with a smile. Thank God you're alive. Living on me past. I have to put all things behind me. I mean, living on me past. We put the past behind me. Look to me future. Rest was my heart. I am calling on me now. Living on me past. Speaking from a place of change now. Hear them a walk and a ask from a change. So God in our life, everything we arrange now. Up in the line, you become from a place now. If you love me, me, then let me know. If you hate me, then let me go. Just let me grow. How you will get overthrown like over so. Yeah. Cause it is a waste of time to even a bad mind. We just greet them with a smile. Thank God you're alive. Living on me past. I have to put good things behind me. I'm living on me past. Me put me past behind me. Look to me future. Rest the world tomorrow. I am calling on me now. Living on me past. Turn bad then you done bad already. You feel sad then you done sad already. Don't make your life miserable and comfortable with something where somebody done already. Stepping at the future, forget about the past. Day by day, you will renew your task. You have life so all wasn't last. Just God and He will carry your ass. Cause it is a waste of time to even a bad mind. We just greet them with a smile. Thank God you're alive. Living on me past.